Or she's beating the crap out of like 7 guys with like one hand tied behind her back. It's like, come on, man. Like, let's watch something else now.
Yeah, I hardly watch TV because it's all just such junk. You watch a few
Crap.
minutes and you're like, what the hell? And they do it, and people that are parents, you need to be careful because they're putting stuff in kids stuff, like boys kissing and weird
Yeah.
stuff like that. They're trying to get the kids young.
I spend a lot of time now, like even as my kid was young, like as she was sort of growing up, like I spent a lot of time saying that would be disappointing if you did that. That's not normal. Do you know why they're doing that? And like asking critical questions.
Yep.
And there's often pushback from the programming from like the school system, and you have to navigate through that sort of thing. So it's like if you're a parent, you have to take on the responsibility of actually parenting again. Like I think in my dad's era and my mom's era, like they would have just relied on the school system to be generally good, right? And to discipline you if you did something stupid in school. I think now all parents have to take the reins, and homeschooling is probably a better idea.
Yeah, my daughter went to like Marin, which is one of the most liberal possible places ever, high school, and it was like she was extremely smart, and sometimes she'd argue with her teachers, but they just never wouldn't have any answers. But then they'd just get mad at her. So I had to tell her, I'm like, you probably should just stop arguing with them. You're right, but they're just going to mark down your grades. They can't. She's a pretty good arguer, so she's out arguing them a lot, and they just get frustrated because they can't argue the thing.
Yeah, you have to get to the point where you just nod your head and just agree, but you just don't care.
It's unfortunate, but it's kind of what she had to do, But it's hard when I don't hold my tongue, so I couldn't really get mad at her or get in trouble for it. But it's like,
yeah, when you get anti-fragile, then you just open your mouth.
Yeah,
I know the feeling.
Yeah, another thing I would say, like you mentioned, how important critical thinking is. I think it's also important to teach your kids that. Like, really, like let your kids have debates with you. I know it can be hard as a parent because obviously they can't do it in a respectful way. But I always taught kids that they could like challenge me in a respectful way about my way of thinking and why they think different. You can't just be like, no, my way is right. It's like if they have a good argument, they should be allowed to present it.
Yeah, it's like, the way that I run it basically is if I tell you something to do it,
Yes.
or come back with clarifying questions, or come back with a better solution.
Yes. Yeah, no, if I tell you to do something, do it. But like I'm talking about when you're just like brainstorming ideas,
Yeah.
I would always allow them
ask
to
for some
put
feedback.
their
Why are you
input
thinking
and
that way?
disagree with me and like, okay, why do you disagree?
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a few times where I even change my mind, and then sometimes change her mind, stuff like that. I think it's just most people want to tell you, this is what, don't ask questions, this is what it is, and you should always question everything, I believe.
Yeah. I find that it's an incredible waste of time, though, to do that with the general folks that you don't really know or even care about, because I'm all about community, drawing a perimeter around the people that you care about, and then defining who us versus them is. And if they're them, what they generally want to hear, though, is they don't want to hear a new opinion. They want to hear their opinion coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, it's just a waste of energy.
Yeah, you realize debating some people is totally pointless. You're wasting your time. But some people, in good faith, people that respect, you can have good debates and change people's mind.
Yeah.
So let's switch back real quick to, like I said, you gave the list of the things women are into. And like I said, I think the list was good. We don't need to go through the whole list, but a bunch of things are obvious. But one you put in there that I thought was great that like no one ever mentions is don't be boring.
Yeah.
So many guys are just boring. You can't bore a girl.
Yeah, it's funny because I do a lot of one-on-one consults with guys, and they're always high net worth individuals. They can have several exits. They can be worth 8 figures, and they'll be like, Rich, I'm 58. I'm back in the dating world. I want to date younger, more attractive women. I got the money. I got the time, sort of thing. It's like, okay, cool. So what do you do for fun? Like, what do you do for dates when you take them out? I'll go out for dinner and we'll sit there and we'll have a meal, sort of thing. Okay, and then what happens? And then I don't hear from her again. She ghosts me. It's like, okay, well, you're loaded, you're good looking, you're tall, you're squared away, you got money. I'm like, why don't you do something more interesting? I'm like, what do you do for fun when you're not on dates? I remember I had this one guy once, he goes, I love overlanding. Okay, well, what's overlanding? Well, have a tent on the top of your Land Rover rig or something like that, and you go off this is what you do on the next date. You tell her to pack a picnic, you give her a task, right? Because women fall in love with you when they do stuff for you. Give her a task, pack something nice to eat, cheese board, charcuterie, whatever the hell happens to be. Drive her in the middle of the desert. You're going to go watch the sunset. He goes, you know what? It worked fantastic. We spent the whole night out there. We had a great time. I'm seeing her again. She's interesting. She's interested in what I do. It's like women don't have a lot of stuff going on in the world. You have to invite them into your world and then show them interesting things to do, right? Like that's how you get women to stick to you, sort of thing, right?
Always pull them into your world, never go into their world.
Always invite them into your world, yeah. The big mistake that guys make, especially when they try to date like the younger girls, is they try to like associate with their lifestyle, like the kind of music that they listen to. Oh, Cardi B's cool, or whatever it happens to be, whatever that is. Like, bring them into your world. Invite them to do cool stuff that you have going on.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And just like, even simple things. Let's say you do go to a dinner date. Switch locations after dinner. Go somewhere to a bar to drink. Don't
change
just like
the
stay there
venue.
for 3 hours. Girls like they have short attention spans. You got to keep them exciting and moving.
I know this cool place. It's a rooftop. They got a great view, sort of thing. Oh, I've never been to something like that, right? That's that's going to be interesting to her. Now, if you take her to an interesting venue and she's like, oh, I've already been here 6 times, she's been around the block, and she's probably not the kind of girlfriend that you want to have around anyway.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. But these are the red flags to look for, which is actually, I think we should get into that in a few.
Yeah.
But and then things too, like back when I had no money, I would do simple things like get coffee and take a girl through a walk to a park. That can work if
That
if you're interesting. And you
that's
have,
perfect
yeah.
for a first date. Like that's a good sniff test because you don't want to overinvest. A quick drink, a coffee, a stroll in the park, something like that. Like that's what I exactly say in my book. Some women will say, like, there's actually women dedicated on YouTube saying, "Girl, don't go out for a coffee date. He has to invest in you. He's got to take you out for an expensive dinner. You know, make sure you order the expensive stuff on the menu to see what he does with that sort of stuff." It's like that chick just wants to run you,
Yeah.
right? You know, if she's genuinely interested, if she's got genuine burning desire, you can tell her, "I'm going to pick you up in a garbage truck," and she'll want to show up if she really digs your vibe.
Yeah, I think that's why it's important learning to have interesting conversations, to be able to talk about lots of different topics. You know, be well read, make her laugh without making fun of yourself. I think, I mean, there may be exceptions, but generally you don't want the guys that rag on themselves because it doesn't work. But just be interesting.
Yeah,
A lot of
be
guys just don't
interesting.
understand that. They think, oh, I'll talk about money to a girl. Like that's retarded. I've never talked about money to a girl on a date.
Yeah.
You know, that's the worst thing you can do. It's like those are the guys that bitch about gold diggers because all they do is tell the girl how much money they have and then they take them for a ride.
And that's the vast majority of guys' game when it comes to dates, right?